Welcome to episode 90 of the Camerosity podcast, the world's #1 smash hit film and digital photography podcast. My name is Mike Ekman. We are finally back with another episode. Can you believe that it has been 6 weeks since our last recording? With all the hosts having some combination of personal and job-related issues, we needed to keep shifting the schedule around, and well, we're back. Tonight, Anthony, Paul, Theo, Steven, and I welcome the return of two very special guests whom we've been promising would be on the show for the past several months, but like everything these days, had some personal issues of their own that kept getting in the way. Who could it be? If you guessed that it is the creators and hosts of the #2 film photography podcast, I Dream of Cameras, you'd be correct. Welcome to the show, Jeff Greenstein and Gabe Sachs.
Thank you.
Oh, we're so happy to be here, Mike. It's so great to see you guys. It's fantastic.
This is the second episode you guys have been on.
Yes.
I had to go back through the records, the old ledgers back in the vault, and you guys were on episode 6. So
how about that?
From episode 6 to 90, we recorded that one in September 2021.
Wow.
Back then, I don't even know that Paul was a host. He just kept showing up, so you guys could have been in on the ground floor, but you chose to go your own way.
Listen, we had our own thing going, all right? We felt that we needed to godfather the launch of your podcast.
That's right.
And now, of course, the student has become the master.
What number are you guys up to right now?
Are you trying to make me feel bad, Anthony?
No. Just curious.
Our next episode will be episode 89.
89. Because we were right behind you. We were like one behind you, and then you guys had your break, and then we kind of passed, but then we stopped. We went 6 weeks without a show, so it's just sort of hit or miss. The great thing about, I think, both of our shows is that since the pay is so terrible, it really doesn't matter if we record an episode or not. It makes no difference to the livelihood of all of us.
I mean, we're making literally millions of dollars off our podcast. So I'm sorry if you haven't been able to monetize as effectively as we have. We of course have our tie-in merchandise. We have of course the acclaim, the contributions from listeners who just send us money, cameras, stocks, bonds. Anyway.
All right. You guys can be #1. We'll be #2 again.
I'm glad you're having us back on because, of course, we did declare war on you guys.
You did. Yeah, I fired what I thought was a pretty epic shot, and you guys shot like a single bottle rocket after that.
No. Here's the thing. Your response was so unbelievably great that, we just felt it was such a masterpiece that we just felt, let us step back and allow these gentlemen to revel in their accomplishment. Why return fire? It was done as masterfully, and I'm saying this, I am, of course, this doesn't come up a lot on our podcast, but I am an award-winning comedy writer. So when I bestow this kind of praise upon you guys, you should know just how much that means.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, well, thank you. Anthony had to dig in. He figured out who your theme song was, and I had to find a copy of it online that I could use. And we spent a lot of time on that. So while I'm thrilled with the praise, we were sort of expecting a little bit more fodder to come back our way. So
no, man. No, listen, we know when we're beaten. Okay. we messed with the bull and we got the horns. It's fine. Okay. It's fine. Well, listen, what do we want? What is the ultimate currency in today's internet culture? Attention. Did we garner attention from you? Oh, yes, we did.
I think we did. Well, so since we're kind of on that topic of fodder or attention, I guess we should say, it was around Christmas time. You guys had one of our mutual listeners, John Kelly, had typed up. He says he likes both of our shows. And you guys read these off on the air, which we all thought was hilarious, by the way. But he said he had a bunch of different categories and how either of our two podcasts would respond to that. And I've always wanted to kind of comment on that from our perspective, but I wanted to wait for you guys to be there. So,
all right.
It's not very timely anymore because you guys discussed this around Thanksgiving or something, and it's April, but whatever. Who cares? You could just listen to those 2 episodes back to back and no one will ever know.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Gabe, you remember this? This was the Washington Post reporter that compared us head to head with Camerosity.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he does. That was very non-convincing. Well, anyway, so I'll read it. And if you guys have any comments, feel free to jump in here. So, I mean, really, the first one is pretty straightforward. Self-created description. I Dream of Cameras is a smash hit podcast, and we're the open source podcast. I mean, I don't know. That's fairly straightforward. Open
Clearly,
source,
we're better. That's fine.
better.
Keep going.
Smash hit is. I mean, who cares about open source? This isn't GitHub of podcasts. But I do think, though, that no matter how great I Dream of Cameras could become one day, of course, is that our concept is still unique. Like, I really expected when we really struck it big that we would have copycat open source podcasts, and really, it hasn't materialized. So.
There's been a few attempts, and I don't think they've succeeded as well, though.
Yeah, I some shows we started noticing an increase of readers submitted content. Sometimes people would pre-record their own email, and then the hosts would read it back. But no one has the, I don't want to say guts. I think it's more stupidity to try and record. I mean, we've had episodes where we had 18 people on in addition to ours.
My goodness.
Recording that and editing it to where people aren't constantly talking over one another and there aren't constant pauses, background noise. It's not easy. So it's definitely not a smart decision that we've done, but so far it's worked out okay. So I would say for John Kelly, his descriptions are spot on. The second one, podcast hosts. I Dream of Cameras are rich coastal elites. I mean, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I will address that in due course. Continue.
Camerosity, assault of the earth, Midwesterners.
Okay.
And,
what the Midwestern Australia?
What do you call your area?
Well,
Are you
considering I'm actually Eastern Australia, it actually doesn't make sense.
You're a coastal elite, man. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I grew up in a pine forest in Atlanta, Georgia. Gabe, are you a coastal elite?
I don't know. I grew up in Riverdale, the streets of the Bronx.
The mean streets. Gabe
streets.
knows what it's like out in these streets. Coastal elites. Ha! Is what I say.
So I'm very much Midwest. Paul's Ohio, although Anthony is Florida. He grew up in Indiana, so I think that's
all coast.
No, it's not. Indiana? There's no coast
No,
anywhere.
Florida. Florida's all coast.
Yeah, but he grew up. He identifies as a Hoosier. So
Fine.
And then even though he wasn't on the show when this was published, Stephen, does Canada even use the term Midwest, or is that just the middle of the country?
No, they just say the prairies.
The prairies. Okay, so it's kind of Midwest-y, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. A theme music. I Dream of Cameras, faux Danny Elfman. And Camerosity is faux 38 Special. And so what is your theme song?
Oh, the Violent Femmes.
It was in Fred Corey's library.
Fred Corey is an Emmy-winning composer. He was drummer in the celebrated hair metal band Cinderella. He's the composer for the LA Kings, among other things. He has won numerous awards. Faux Danny Elfman. Ha!
Faux Danny Elfman. And ours is faux 38 Special, which actually is fairly on the ball.
I got to say, that's a pretty good call. Pretty good call.
I found our theme music on one of those royalty-free websites where you can go and just download pre-created music. And I was looking for something a little more upbeat because there was a period of time where it seemed like a lot of podcasts, not even just photography ones, but people were using jazz or masterpiece theater, kind of music. And that just wasn't my personality. When you consider the first 2 episodes of the show, we were originally called Cocaine and Waffles. And I had a death metal song as our intro music. Faux 38 Special is definitely PG for us, but it seems to have struck a chord with people because people really identify our show with that song.
Well, I've always listened to your show at 3x, and it sounds like thrash metal. At 3x, it sounds amazing.
Okay, I'll have to try that. Maybe that's just what we'll play it back for this episode. Favorite color is I Dream of Cameras is Leica.red. And Camerosity is Kodak logo yellow, which is actually 100% correct because when I created the logo and all the thumbnails and icons for our site, I went to Kodak's current website, downloaded a PNG of their logo, opened it up in Photoshop and used the eyedrop tool to select the exact color, and that is the yellow of Camerosity. So he probably didn't know that, but he is 100% correct that, and I did that to the red too. So our red and yellow logos, our colors, I mean, are straight from Kodak's website at least.
We don't talk about Leica that much on the show, but I accept this. It implies that we're kind of ritzy and upscale. We'll take it.
So far, I mean, these are really, really well thought out, like accurate. The next one, unfortunately, though, is the catchphrase. So for I Dream of Cameras, you guys are known for repeatedly saying "so good."
Now that's my partner Gabe Sachs.
Always say so.
So good. And of course, he's picking on me. This is shots fired at me. But I have a review of that camera on my site, MikeEckman.com.
Now, So Good has put in a number of appearances on our show to the point where there is now on our merch page a So Good t-shirt memorializing what really is Gabe's catchphrase. I have a number of catchphrases really speaking to my idiocy. Yeah. Gabe's is about enthusiasm for things that he treasures.
Yes, I love that.
Paul, we really need a catchphrase, like something better than referring people to my site. We got to come up with something.
Like maybe half a cookie.
What?
Half a cookie.
No, wait. Somebody's done that. Somebody's done half a cookie.
All right, this one's good. Favorite Meyer. I Dream of Cameras is Vivian Meyer. Camerosity is Oscar Meyer.
Strongly approve.
I guess that's from the Salt of the Earth Midwesterners, where we're known for eating hot dogs or something.
Why do people think I have a Vivian Meyer problem? She barely comes up on the show.
Never.
And I've been known to say she was weird, so.
But, we do have something in common. We both get letters from Alan Perez.
Yes, though he writes to us under various celebrity pseudonyms, as you know.
Yeah. See, he's comfortable with us, so he doesn't try to hide his true identity.
So if you get an email from Phoebe Buffet, it could just be Alan.
Yeah, we got so many letters from Alan Perez in one episode that we named the episode Perez Troika after him. We love our fans.
Your version of trying to make it open source, having one person write into you all the time.
We pay them.
Yeah, we have no budget. We're already operating the red here, so no one's getting paid. All right, Strange Camera Obsession. Theo, this one's directed right at you.
It's fine. You can skip TV sitcom. That's totally fine. It's not like Gabe and I are known for our work in television. You can just skip right over that one.
Totally,
Mike, it's okay. Okay. That's fine. Keep going.
You have the same list, right?
Yes.
Strange Camera Obsession. Camerosity is the Mamiya 7.
Yes.
That's not true. Really, that's not true.
I don't know how many times it's come up, but we had an episode where Theo was gone and it still came up. So
we've never talked about that camera. I wish we knew some gentlemen who were enthusiastic about the Mamiya 7 who could impart the sacred knowledge to us.
It's easy because what is it? It's the best camera in the world.
It's amazing.
Gabe has shot it.
Yeah, I shot it and stupidly sold it a few months later. I was like, "Oh, this is so light and easy," and it was the dumbest thing I ever did. That is a great camera. I love it. It's so strong.
Very nice
and expensive. How crazy expensive.
Yeah, it's even gone up.
Yeah, at the moment it's prohibitively expensive. I'm lucky I've managed to get my whole set because I've managed to get the whole set of lenses, but these days it is unbelievably expensive, but the results speak for itself. I mean, the lenses are just so clean and clear that you can understand why people go crazy over it, because there's nothing that sort of equates from that period.
Every time I think I want to get one, I get into Instagram and see Bill Rogers up to his elbows in one of them trying to get the lens calibrated.
All right.
And, pointing out all of the things that can go wrong with Mamiya 7s. And I think, Jesus, if I want to do that, why don't I just get a Leica R? or just beat myself in the head with a shovel or something, to just make it easier.
Yeah.
And for you guys, it was the Alpa 10S, so appropriate. We're going to spend a little bit of time with Alpa.
Fair.
What is it about the 10S specifically, though? Is that the sweet
I
spot for
think
you?
I think he's referring to the fact that I finally snagged an Alpa 10S. I don't know. See, I have no idea if y'all listen to our show. We talk about the greatness of Camerosity on our show all the
Sure.
time. But in
Mhm.
a recent episode, I described how I had been looking for a 10S because there is a half frame version of the 10S. And of course, having an Alpa that is also a half frame camera would merge two of my obsessions. I bought a 10S kind of sight unseen from a seller on Facebook Marketplace in Homer, Alaska. And for the low, low price, I think it's okay to talk about cash, $400 with the
Wow.
lens. There were only 98 of them made. Interestingly, well, we'll get into this when we talk about Alpas a little more, but I have spent a lot of time talking about this extraordinary acquisition, which is probably why Mr. Kelly chose to spotlight it. It's just rarer and weirder than any other like I have.
And then since you mentioned half frame, our strange camera animosity for you guys is the Pentax 17 or the 17. Not really sure how you're supposed to say that. And for us, it's the Hasselblad 500.
What's your animosity? What's the hatred?
You go, Anthony. What's your thoughts on the Hasselblads?
Hasselblad are just there are cameras that I cannot gel with. I have shot like 5 different iterations from the SWC to the 500 CMs, everything in between. And I don't think I've had a single time when I've taken a Hasselblad out where I haven't screwed up the roll in some way. It's just like you have to follow steps and procedures, and I don't shoot like that. And I always forget to do something. And they're frustrating cameras to me.
And see, to me, it's my favorite camera. I mean, for my favorite film camera. And Jeff, you'll appreciate this because you're an XPan guy. There's a guy, and this is an unfortunate story, but this is a 28 by 56 back for a Hasselblad.
Nice.
Wow.
24 exposures. It's got a frame counter that counts all 24. So there's no loss of anything. These are done by a guy in China named Mr. Zhang, and you send him a back. He repairs the back if it needs it, puts new light seals in, puts new gears in, puts a new frame counter in,
Wow.
and sends it back to you. Well, there were 3 of us who did this. I think it was the 3, we sent him a total of 7 backs. And it took about 4 months for them to come back, but they work perfectly.
Wow.
Unfortunately, because
Oh.
of the tariffs that we put on China,
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Zhang is no longer offering this service. I just had a message from some guy on Reddit wondering why the contact, his email is bouncing back, and all the order form is now missing off of the website. So it appears that they're no longer doing them.
That's too bad.
I
Tell
had
me
2 of them done.
what's the aspect ratio? 28 by what?
28 by 56.
So not quite XPan, which is 24 by 65, but
He
pretty
does-
damn close.
No, it's close. He also does a 24 by 56. So you get 27
Nice.
exposures on that one.
That's pretty great. So if you put a 45 millimeter lens on your Hasselblad, you would be
Right.
pretty darn close to an
Well,
XPan.
with a 50, it worked out well with a 50. And, this guy, the thing is, it was so professionally done. I mean, he even sends you a mask for the viewfinder.
Yeah.
It,
I
shows-
actually gave Gabe, when I gave him a Pentax 6x7, and I had a similar kit that was made for the Pentax 6.7. Same thing, viewfinder mask and a mask for the film gate. And if you put your 45 millimeter lens on the Pentax 6x7, you basically are shooting an XPan.
Right.
And you can, of course, roll 35 millimeter film through the 6x7 as well. So you're basically getting the XPan experience in a camera that weighs twice as much.
Or you can go half as much and get the panoramic kit on the Omega 7.
There you
Which
go.
does
See?
exactly
See?
the same thing.
The thing about the XPan, and I'm with you. I mean, XPan is a great camera, but they are just absolute ticking time bombs.
Yes, which is why I own 2 of them.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what you really got to do. When I had one, I got one from Kurt that didn't work.
Right.
It worked. It died in my hands.
It died in my hands, Paul. Yeah, I'm the one.
Okay.
Oh,
That's right. That's why you sent it to me. It was already dead.
Right. Well, Rudy wanted to play with it. So I had it first. It died. I sent it back to Kurt. He's like, yeah, I knew it was kind of sketchy. Then Kurt died. And then Rudy had it. He couldn't get it working. Then he sent it to you. It started working, but then
Right.
you touched it once too many times and it died again.
And it died again. And I made contact with some guy in France who swore that he could fix them. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to send it to you. And he says, don't send it to me because I'm not sure I can fix it.
Mm.
So I'm waiting for some guy in China. There's got to be some guy in a shop in China on the 19th floor of some high-rise building
That knows how to
who's
do it.
chained to
Yeah.
a workbench who is working on a circuit board for those cameras.
What's frustrating is they're made by Fuji. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that should make them like super easy to fix, but like it's actually more believable that it would be difficult to repair if it was actually made by Hasselblad. But the fact that it's a Japanese camera made by Fuji, you would think that there's more people, at least in Japan, that could do it, but there's like nobody.
Yeah. And it's only 25 years old. That's the thing. I mean, when mine crapped out, the first one that I had, our camera repair guy in LA was able to bring it back to life, but I'm scared of it. So that is now my backup. And I bought a newer one that's been my principal camera for the past 3.5 years. But is there romance to knowing that the camera has a finite lifespan, like the replicants in Blade Runner, right? Do they burn twice as bright because they have such a limited lifespan? Reaction.
But when it takes its last breath,
I know.
Right.
then what are you going to do? I mean, it's
I know.
You celebrate the life it had.
There you
That's what
go,
you do.
Theo. That's exactly right. That's
You have
right.
a wake.
The XPan, the R8. What are things in those categories that are just absolutely you're going to have?
any of the Leica Mini Luxes.
Yes.
Leica
Like,
Mini Luxes are all mort.
Yep. Nikon
yeah.
35 Ti, 28 Ti. Those things are a ticking
Yeah.
time bomb as well.
The
Contacts,
Contacts are the RTS3.
Yeah.
right. The RTX3.
Any of the Context Gs and Ts. You know, we talked about this before. It's the manufacturers, they didn't do this on purpose. They just didn't realize what the lifespan was going to be on some of the materials they used.
It's with any technology, anytime you're like cutting edge. When there was the switch from mechanics to circuit boards, from film to digital, those first generation, you know, people were still learning how to do stuff. And those things, like Paul said, they weren't designed to last this long. One of the greatest things, and I've said this many times before about collecting cameras, is you could take a 1934 Leica, clean it up, and that thing works exactly as good, if not better, than the day that it was created. You know, you can't say that about pretty much any other piece of consumer electronic. You know, a 1934 automobile could still run, but it's not going to run well. You know, it's not going to be something you could just drive up and down the freeway, you know, along with all the other cars. I know it's not a piece of technology, but people who collect stamps, it's not like you're going to go mail something with it. Like you know, the point is you can use cameras for the original intended and purpose, and they're going to do a great job of it. And, you know, those original devices, the old Retinas, the old Leicas, the old Contacts, is when those things are cleaned and lubricated and serviced and such, they're going to work phenomenal. But, you know, there's almost like this lull, I believe, from probably the very early 80s to the mid to late 90s, where give it another 10 or 20 years from now and practically nothing from that era will work anymore.
Mike, let me put it to you this way. Back in the late 90s, I did software development on the handspring and also on the Apple Newton for decompression software. Right. So this is, I'm holding in my hand an original, like probably 97 handspring. Would I expect to be able to fire this thing up and use it today? No. Absolutely would not.
Even a first gen iPhone, you can't even use them even if you want to.
Right.
You know, try to get a Windows XP machine running. I mean, you could do it in a virtual machine, but not as a normal standalone computer. I mean, just software. Sometimes I've even heard, and I lack the experience of flux and solder and stuff, but I've even heard how like the material that the circuit boards were soldered together with sometimes can eat away. Like the actual solder itself just disintegrates part of the circuit board. So you could have something brand new in the box, never before touched, in a climate controlled, temperature controlled, dust free, no one ever abused it. And you take that thing out and it's not going to work.
That's what happened to Anthony and I with those two F4Ss. I had two brand new in the box, unused Nikon F4S cameras. So I sent one to Anthony. He gets it. It doesn't autofocus.
No.
So He sends it back. I sent it to a guy that said he'd take a look at it. He goes into it. He finds that there is one wire that had moved inside the camera and was shorting itself out. So he fixed it and it's working. A second one I have works perfectly, except the LCD is gone.
Oh, geez.
So, I mean, Nikon F3s and Nikon F4s,
F3s.
LCD displays, they go away. And when
Yeah.
they go away, you don't know what the exposure is.
The Olympus OM4 is known for the LCD just fading away. Like you could
Yeah.
barely see it.
We're seeing this uptick in digicams the last few years where they've become very popular. Obviously, there's millions of them, so it's going to take a long time. Are we actually ever going to get to a point where there's so few of them still working that they're going to start skyrocketing in price and be collector's items?
It's already happened. The Canon PowerShot G7X now goes for over $1,200 on eBay.
Whoa.
And this is just a compact. It's a very nice little compact with a very nice sensor, but it kind of became on Instagram, it became the voguey camera, the voguey digicam. And so why the G7X as opposed to the PowerShot G10 or any of those other wonderful G series cameras? This is the one that people have zeroed in on that has become I see you looking, Theo. They are insanely collectible now.
Not only are they really expensive, but people are actually using them to scam others. I saw a listing on Facebook Marketplace where someone was selling a G7X Mark II for, I don't know, $50 or something. And it was take a picture with your wishing me a happy anniversary and send it to me on WhatsApp so that they then can steal your phone number. And I don't know what the scam was exactly, but that's now a scammer target because they're so popular.
Yeah.
All those small digital cameras have become crazy. My 17-year-old, it will go to every thrift shop he can, and there's another 10 other kids there that are looking for any of those, first gen, anything digital that's older, that has a weird look to it. They're all doing it. We were just in Toronto and we went to a Value Village and he ran right up to the counter and someone else bought, one right before him. But everyone loves them.
Yeah, I mean, I took a Olympus XZ1 to Thailand with me about a month ago, and I shared it online, and Stephen sort of zeroed in on it straight away. Said, "Oh wow, that's an interesting one," and sure enough, I went and had a look up what they're selling for these days because I picked it up for $50 a couple of years ago, and it's amazing. I think they're going around at $400 or $500 these days, and it's you wouldn't know it unless you sort of look into it.
When we were in Cincinnati, Mike brought a table of these crazy colored Pentax. What are they? Pentax Q?
The Qs,
whatever.
yeah. It was like a Q7 and a Q10.
And they got more attention than Paul's Fuji G617. I mean, seriously, all anybody wanted to touch were the little Pentax digicams.
And it was like teenage girls.
Mike and I traded. I got one of the Q Evangelon. Neon Genesis. Yeah,
Evangelion.
Red and yellow. And I had it sitting out in the box. I had it sitting on the table. And all these young people were coming up saying, "Oh my God, look at that. Look at that. It's an Evangelon, whatever the hell." And I'm saying, "What are you talking about? I have no idea what this is." And they said, "Well, no, it's a big anime thing." And I'm thinking, "What the hell?" I got this Fuji G617 here, which is one of the coolest cameras ever made, and you're looking at this little plastic piece of shit. But I couldn't believe the number of people that knew about it. I mean, they knew what the thing was.
Honestly, I didn't know either. Steven was the one who pointed out to me because I had sent him a picture of all the Qs that I had. He pointed that one out, and you said, don't let that go for cheap. And I certainly could have sold it for more, but I mean, Paul and I had a trade that I thought was fair, and we swapped. So, and it was what was cool about it. It was in the original box. I had the original charger, all the cords, the manuals, and such like that too. I mean, it was used, but everything was there. Do you still have it, Paul?
Yeah, I got it. There's a bunch of people watching it.
Yeah.
What we traded, you got a D4, a Nikon D4.
The D4, the D4 body. Yeah.
So, I mean, you won weight-wise.
Weight-wise, yeah.
D4 could literally crush that Pentax Q if you dropped it on it.
I'd always wanted a full-frame DSLR. I mean, I have my Z5. I have a Sony Alpha. I do technically have that Kodak DCS professional 14 N, whatever it's called, but that one has sensor issues. But the one hole I had in my collection was a full frame DSLR. So Paul had the D4. It had a relatively low, like 14,000 something shutter count, which is dirt low for those. And I was like, that's just a fair trade.
Do you guys, Gabe, do you and Jeff, do you trade cameras
With
among
each other?
yourselves? Among yourselves?
We give them back and forth.
Okay. We've been known to do that too. Anthony and I have done a lot of trades. And one of the things, I picked up a Leica kit on Saturday. I drove up 3.5 hour round trip to pick up some stuff. And one of the things I got was an M2 that was just a beautiful, beautiful condition, except for the vulcanite missing off the back door, which I fixed because I've got replacements. But anyway, Anthony wanted that M2, and he had a Rolleiflex 35F Honeywell version that I wanted. So I think I cheated him a little bit, but it's okay.
So yes, I am without a Rolleiflex now. I mean, I still have my Voigtlander Superb. I have my Flexoret 6. I have a Yashica Mat 124. So I've got the TLR experience, but I no longer have the prestige of hitting the streets with my Rolleiflex. But earlier on, I had done an earlier trade with Paul where I traded him my Facebook Marketplace find Leica M3 and a 3F for the 617. And in the back of my mind, it's just always nagged me that I kind of missed that M3. I picked up from Paul an M4 II, which is a great camera, but it's not the same as shooting that M3, and I'm assuming that the M2 as well. So they're crossing the continent right now. The Rolleiflex is somewhere heading towards Georgia, and the Leica is on its way down from Ohio. So I'm looking forward to be back into the low number end game. So I just think that there's something special about handling those cameras.
I had that Fuji 690, the GSW, which I traded to you for the Horseman, which just for whatever reason didn't gel to me. I loaned it to Anthony. He fell in love with it, but then he sent it back to you. And then I traded that for, was it the Leica CL?
Yeah,
I think.
CL.
Yeah. So we just kept going back and forth.
I have 2 Horseman convertibles now.
Yeah. Well, and they're not even the same. Like there was the issue where the shoe was or something with the back.
Yeah, 2 different models of the same.
Yeah.
Two different versions of a camera they only made 100 of. So go figure that out. It's makes no sense. But anyway.
I've got a question. I'm going to change tracks a little bit here. Gabe, I was very sorry to see what happened to your house and so on. That was really, really sad to see. And I'm glad everyone's okay though. That's obviously the main thing. And I've seen the pictures of your burnt out collection, which is sad as well. My question to you is, are you rebuilding a collection, and what are your prime targets in terms of building a collection, or is that something like a future Gabe?
No, well, first of all, some of those cameras are in London at the moment because Gideon, one of the National Geographic photographers, came over and they were doing a report on the fires, and through the grapevine he heard about the cameras, and his team came over and he took them back to London, a couple of the Rolleiflex that we could sort of recognize, and took those back, and we've been back a number of times, and my friend Brandon Stedman, who was there in the beginning, he dug out some, and then it got to the point that this last trip is pretty much I found what I'm going to find. The Contax 645 AF melted, and many of them all melted. But the one thing I was happy to find the other day was the Wide Lux, and that was a shocker. Like that was one that I just
wait. It was like unscathed, or
no, nothing was unscathed. Everything was gone. It was a 2-story house, and it was all rubble.
So you just found enough pieces to identify it. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Found enough pieces to identify. When you're so used to having that stuff, and you're so used to sort of grabbing it and referring to it and say, oh, I'm going to use this today. Oh, I haven't used this in a while. It's such a habit that when it's gone, it's shocking. Like it's very shocking. I was able to get one bag of cameras out. My 2 boys were home, and they got their stuff, and we just got, in the car. And luckily that bag had, for some reason it didn't have a Rolleiflex in it. And my favorite one it did not have, but it had some Leicas in it, the M's that I wanted. And I just didn't have time. I had 30 minutes and my street was getting clogged and all that stuff. So then, thinking about the future, I was saying, I want to limit this collection. It was all about, agreeing with the family how many cameras I was going to have, and came to this number of 30. So that's sort of been the goal. I'm up at about 21 right now.
Wow, that's quick.
Yes.
It's pretty quick, but that was because people were amazingly generous, and people were hunting for a Rolleiflex 2.8e, and they found one that was broken, and then our guy fixed it, and it's fantastic. And so there were a lot of things like that. Trev Lee from the Dark Room, I traded him for an M5 a few years back, and he sent me that camera back and said, no, I don't want the M5 back. It was just one of those things. That's really how things started again. And the only things that I purchased are very, very specific pieces. So that Rolleiflex, is definitely one that I purchased. I purchased a ridiculous camera because I had seen friends, these portraits on this Russian Kiev. And I said, one day I'm going to get a Kiev 60, even if it's going to break in 2 seconds. And I looked and looked and looked, and I couldn't find anything. And then went up in Toronto at Downtown Camera. I walk in with Jessica Devick, and there's one sitting behind the counter, and it was pretty much in as mint condition as it could be. So I'm going to try that out. And I have the 6.7 from Jeff and some other, amazing cameras, and there's Rolleiflex. And so I really had a kickstart to it. So now I'm being more specific of what cameras did I really love in that group and what do I have to have. I mean, I'll tell you what I really miss is I really miss that Contax 645, but the problem is it's out of control. Like it's just out of control. It's out down here. It's, $6,500 to $8,000.
And that's another ticking bomb. I mean,
it's another ticket. You're absolutely right. And that's why I go.
Nippon won't fix them. I mean, there's just nowhere to get them repaired. So
totally true.
Put that much money into a camera that could go at any moment. I mean, and if you're like Jeff, that means you got to have 2 of them.
Yes.
Doesn't Ryan at Pro Camera specialize in repairing those?
You know what? I think he did. Well, yeah. He had something on his Instagram page not that long ago.
I think that was a major rental market for them.
It was Bill Moretz. Bill Moretz that was what he did. He rented the Contax 645, so he had parts. But when Bill retired, I think Ryan was repairing them. So that's certainly something to keep in mind. But it still doesn't matter if they're $7,000 for a camera that should be. Well,
I'm curious about what the 8 other cameras are that is the wide looks on the list. I mean, what are the 8 other cameras? You've got 21 or 22, and you're only going to cap it at 30.
The funny thing is they're most of, the ones that were gifts were mostly all Nikons. And so FE, F2, I have some Nikons. And then I think Widelux is definitely, I just love that camera. I thought it was fun, to go out and do these bizarre portraits with. I'm looking for, of course, my favorite thing is, which Jeff knew, and I found the crown, the top of the Nikon F. I was looking for a very beat up, brassed Nikon F, like original eye level. And I bought one about 6 months ago, I think at B&H. And I found the top of it in this last trip. Oh. But looking for, one of those, but it's very specific. I'm very open to cameras that I haven't, used before. I did enjoy using my C330, that Mamiya, but I'm so open. It's such a weird thing.
Yeah, Gabe, oh my God, he crossed the Rubicon. He bought a Pen FT.
I did.
Oh, wow. Half a cookie.
Yes, the man who coined the phrase half a cookie.
He's getting the other half of the cookie.
That's right.
Exactly. Love I love that camera. I mean, I used it last week, I guess, and did some portraits close up because my eyes aren't great. So I was and it's a very dim, I don't know if they're all are, but they're
Yes,
Yeah,
they
very
are.
dim. Yeah.
They are. Yeah.
The F isn't, the FT is.
and then the Pen FV Jeff tells me about too late. Um,
Totally true.
but yeah, I really enjoy that camera. That's going to be in the kit always because it's so small and
It's just a work of art. I mean, it's just the way it
Yeah.
handles, the way that it feels. It is a work of art.
it's really cool.
Totally agree.
And if it ever is too big for you and half frame film is too big, there's actually a little Minox film version made by a Japanese company called Sharan. And this is an itty bitty little tiny replica of the Pen F. They also did these as a Nikon F,
Nice.
as they did Leicas, I think they did Rolleiflexes. So you can get any of these, and it has some interesting working details that a rewind crank that folds out, and that pops up a little straight through viewfinder on it.
So good.
If you ever decide that half frame is too big for you, you can go smaller.
Yes. I've
Oh.
never been able to convince Gabe to go Minox,
Right.
but it could happen.
No, that's not even a half a cookie.
Right.
Right. I think we worked it out. It's like 1/8 of a cookie.
Yeah, it's like
A crumb.
Just
not even
crumbs.
A crumb.
it's not even a bite.
It's just crumbs.
So, but the thing is that when you start saying, okay, I want 30 cameras, but there are cameras out there that you don't know about. I mean, there are a lot of cameras that are so cool
Yeah.
that none of us have seen until we see one.
Right.
And that happened to me 6 months or so ago. I wound up with this thing called an SK Grimes Pack Pro XL, which SK Grimes is a photographic machinist in Rhode Island.
Wow.
And he modified this. He took a Graflex XLSW, cut the top of it off, mounted a 45 millimeter Apo Grandagon on it with no finder, and it's like 110 degrees angle view with a 6x9 roll film back. And,
Wow.
and if my house caught fire today, that's the camera I would grab
Wow.
to run out the door.
That's awesome. That's
I mean,
amazing.
it's just I had no idea there was such a thing, but I just love the camera so much that that's the one.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you gotta get 31. I mean, get 30 and then say, okay, well, I gotta have a
Yeah.
little slop here.
I agree. And also when Jeff goes to London, he'll always go, if he goes to a camera show, I'll see a camera I've never heard of. Like you'll say, oh, there are very few of these cameras made, and it's amazing.
Speaking of one, that you handled the witness when
I
you were in
did.
London.
It's funny, Theo. I was just thinking about that as Paul was talking. I went to Photographica 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I guess. Yeah, I guess it must have been. And at one of the stalls, they had an Ilford witness for sale. We talked about it on the show. Only 350 of them were made. I know that Mike has handled one because you reviewed it.
My catchphrase, I have a review of that camera on MikeEckman.com.
That's right. You sure do.
In fact, I have 2 reviews of that camera on my website. The first one I didn't get a chance to shoot, and the second one I did. So
Yeah, it was really beautiful. I think it had a 5-figure asking price.
It's ridiculous.
So it was a beautiful condition, and it was quite a thing even just to handle it and fire the shutter. And you know this, Mike, because you played with one. It's exquisitely engineered. I just loved it.
one of my favorite features of that camera is it uses the M39 Leica thread mount, so you can put a Leica lens, screws right on. I have images of it in my review with a Nikkor 50 f2, but it actually is also a bayonet mount. So
Yeah.
when you think of cameras that have a dual mount, you think of like Miranda or the Contax Nikon rangefinders, but where it's actually 2 separate things. But on the Witness, picture, like take a Leica, take the lens off and look at the threads. The threads go in a perfect circle. On the Witness, there's actually notches like a bayonet would
It's
be.
an interrupted thread, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's an interrupted thread. So when you mount a normal LTM lens to it, it just goes across the interruptions. But when you have the bayonet lens, which I think they only ever made 2, it's the 1.9 lens that's on most of them, and then there is a 2.8 50 millimeter, but it actually attaches like a bayonet, and it's just
Amazing.
it's so counter what your muscle memory tells you to be doing, because you look at it like it's like a thread mount, but you're actually attaching a lens like a bayonet. It's so bizarre, but it's cool, also.
So if I could be a heretic, because I did get to handle Mike's and shoot a couple of frames. And I got to say that I did not consider that a camera that I would spend five figures on.
No,
It was just not a camera. I'm much more intrigued. Speaking of cameras that like you never knew existed, the Bell and Howell Photon is a more interesting camera to me than the Witness.
my girlfriend's son has a Bell and Howell Photon. And I was just looking at it actually yesterday. And again, that's an engineering marvel. He also, by the way, has a Kodak Ektra, which is being repaired by, I
Yeah.
guess, the one guy in the world who works on such things. And in addition, he has two of the accessory lenses for the Ektra in those machined metal lens
tubes.
cases.
Mhm.
Oh my God, they're so gorgeous. I couldn't believe
Yeah.
it. Yeah, so he has a taste for those kind of cameras as well, Anthony.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question because I know nothing about Alpas. I know a lot about Bolexes. I mean, I came of age in filmmaking shooting nothing but Bolexes. I still have my pistol grip double eight Bolex that it's
Love
such
it.
a beautiful work of art. And it's, you talk about a camera just like a mechanical marvel. And so I'm just wondering, as somebody who came out of filmmaking, who probably shot a fair number of Bolexes, is there something mechanical that crosses over into the Alpa line that like sort of betrays the heritage of Bolex?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the principal crossover is, does it feel engineered similarly? Not at all. It does not mean I had a Bolex H16 reflex that I just gave to Gabe's son. And so I got to revisit how beautifully engineered that camera is. But there's no real comparison in terms of the kind of engineering feel of the thing. The principal crossover is Kern lenses.
Switar lenses.
Yeah, and one of the things I can tell you the story of how I came to get this camera if you like, but this 50 millimeter f1.9 Kern macro Switar is one of very few lenses Kern made for 35 millimeter still cameras, right? It's the best 50 I've ever used. And it's a macro, guys. I mean, it's got this ridiculous throw. I mean, look at this. It goes around and around and around and around. I mean, that's ridiculous. And guys, again, like the Bolex, it's got that depth of field scale. Can you see that with the dots? That's just like the one that expands and contracts like that to show you your depth of field. So that's exactly the same as on the Kern C-mount lens for the Bolex. That's sort of the commonality, is where the Kern glass that excels
the
on this
sourcing of
camera.
the optics for both of them were just first class.
Yeah, Alpa didn't make their own glass at all.
No.
They never manufactured lenses, but they farmed the job out to Schneider, to like Old Delft, to Kern,
Ingenieux.
like Ingenieux. I just bought the 24 millimeter. Paul, I think we communicated
Yeah,
about this.
yeah.
I bought the
24
yeah.
that's scarce.
It's unbelievably gorgeous. It's one of the only, I don't have it with me because it's back in LA, but it's one of the only lenses I've seen where the aperture knob is on top of the lens, like as a separate knob.
Yeah.
It's so exquisitely engineered. And the thing that Alpa did, because they were competing in the same realm as Leica and Hasselblad, is they contracted with the premier lens makers of the day for the best glass available. And in addition, the Leica has one of the shortest throws from film to flange of any 35 millimeter camera. And the reason that's significant is that they also made adapters so that you could put Pentax screw mount, Nikon, all kinds of other lens makers you could attach their lenses with Alpa adapters to the camera. So it was all about giving you the opportunity as an Alpa shooter to shoot the best glass available. It's one of the many great things about this camera.
Mike, what was the macro lens that I got from you for the Alpa?
It was the macro kill fit Keelar.
That's a good one.
Keelar. They
Yeah,
made
that's
a- D or the
two
E?
versions of it, and I have the second version, which is
You have the E then.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only real difference is the E, the close focus is 4 inches. The D is 2 inches.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take that to Ireland.
Was that the 40 or the telephoto?
It's a 40.
40. I've always wanted that lens. I love 40s.
If you want to shoot one, I'll send it to you. I've got.
Oh.
I was trying to think of. I'm going to take it to Ireland. I've got an adapter to put it on the Sony cameras.
Oh, fun.
I have the 90 also, although I've never shot it. And it looks essentially like the 40, just supersized.
Yeah.
But I love that lens so much. The one I sold you or traded you, Paul, that was my original. That one I got on a estate sale Alpa that I bought years ago. And I fell in love with it so much because I've spoken before how 40 millimeter is my favorite focal length.
I'm with you, Mike. Same.
Yeah, it is how my eyes see the world. As much as 50 millimeter is the norm, I feel like 3 out of 4 times when I have a 50 millimeter lens on a camera and I frame it, I always have to take 2 steps back. My instinct is always to stand too close to things when I have a 50, but when I put a 40 on, I'm perfect right there.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, but so having a 40 millimeter lens that just has a cool story, but then can also focus down to 2 inches with minimal distortion. I mean, take my money.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I have looked at the Olympus OM 40 millimeter. I mean, you know that they go for these. It's not a very good lens, by the way.
Yeah.
But they go for $900 because they're so rare and because it's kind of a pancake, the only one that they made for the OM. And it's a 40. And I'm with you, Mike. I think 40 is, I mean, the 40 millimeter Summicron on my Leica CL. Love it. I mean, anytime I can shoot a 40, it makes me happy.
Jeff, run, don't walk to your nearest eBay terminal. And unless you already have one, but get the Konica, the AR
I've got
mount,
it. Oh, the 40 millimeter
41.8.
1.7. Is it a 1? Oh, it's a 1.8. Yeah.
1.8,
That
1.8,
pancake, that Konica pancake, those are so cheap.
They're so cheap. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
And you know, the secret, and I'll reveal this in Secrets of Camerosity, Dreaming of Cameras, is the secret to finding that lens even cheaper already is look for it already mounted to a Konica FS1. That was the kit lens for it. So you can, if you search for the lens by itself, you'll pay $100 and it's worth every penny of that.
Yeah.
But search for a Konica FS1 and it probably has that lens on it. I've seen them sell for $30.
It's a great tip.
Unbelievable.
I love that lens, and I shoot it primarily. I have a Konica FT1 Pro half.
Oh, wow. That's rare.
Which was apparently a dealer. There's a lot of mythology around the Pro half. Some say they only sold them to dealers. There's a guy who tracks the serial numbers. This is a half frame version of the FT1. FT1 is not a great camera, but having a half frame with a built-in motor drive, SLR, can't think of any other ones like that. So it's an enormous kick to shoot with. And so I keep the 40 on there a lot because it gives me like a moderate telephoto with it, which is kind of nice.
And then since you love half frame, you could then go get the original Konica Auto Dash Reflex. The first one.
I love that. But you know, here's the thing. I had that camera. Mm-hmm. It's too clunky.
If you put the 40-1.8 on it, though, it sort of offsets it a little. But you're right.
But the amount of, I'm very sensitive to this kind of thing. I don't know if you guys are, but like the amount of pressure it requires.
That's true.
Because the auto reflex is shutter priority, right? And because of the amount of machinery that you're engaging when you press the shutter on the auto reflex, it just feels like work to me. And so I never. I mean, oh my God, a half frame switch on the fly camera, that is so up my alley. But I ended up giving it away to my brother, who uses it quite a lot, because I just did not enjoy the shooting experience very much.
I said I forgot which topic we were on before this. Did we answer Anthony's question?
Well, it's just I was trying to give this an end to talk about Alpa because I really know nothing about Alpa at all. and Mike, I know you've got a Heretics Alpa as well.
I have 3 of them. So yes, I bought 3. The Heretic will be the last one.
Oh, good.
We'll start with the original Alpa Reflex.
Very nice. Now, do you shoot with that, Mike?
You could read about it on mikeekman.com. And actually, this, you know, Ira would correct me. This is not the original. There's an earlier version than this. And
is that an Alnia?
No, it literally says Alpa Reflex right across the prism.
Mike, was that a Kurt camera?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It actually works perfectly. Yeah, that's the same camera.
Same camera. Yeah. Okay. See, I had 2 of these.
Oh, did you?
One of them Kurt got from Ira. And I was trying to sell it to Ira or trade it to Ira. And he says, does it work? And I said, I don't know. He says, well, it didn't work when I sent it to Kurt.
Here's the cool thing, because I like cool things. My definition of cool doesn't necessarily mean good. Some things that I think are cool are actually a huge pain in the ass. But what's interesting about all the early Alpas is that they're rangefinders and SLRs together.
Yes.
That applied all the way through the 8, which I have an 8 right here.
Nice.
But this is not only an SLR and a rangefinder, but if you look at the thickness of the body, there's no mirror box. And
Right.
what's unique about the lens on this one, and you could mount other lenses to it, it's not the same mount. So you cannot swap this Alpa lens onto this body. It is a
Right.
different mount,
Yeah.
but it's a collapsible lens. And if you think about that for a moment, how many other SLRs can you think of that they made a collapsible lens for? You're going to hit the mirror. But what's really neat, and they thought of this, is there is a button you can press to manually move the mirror out of the way for when you collapse it. But if you forget, yeah, you're still technically hitting the mirror, but it will swing out of the way on its own too. So you can actually raise the mirror by pressing a separate button, collapse the lens. But if you forget, you just push it, gently, and it'll move it out of the way for you. So
Nice.
it's well thought out. It has a normal waist level finder, so and it's non-removable. There was at the very tail end of production of this a prism version of it. Those are even rarer than these are, but most of the Alpa reflexes are waist level finders only. But they have a sports finder on the back for quick action shots, just like the Asahi Flex has that. And then there's your split image rangefinder too.
Nice.
And what's really neat about this is I like using waist level. I mean, sometimes waist levels can be a lot of fun, especially when you have like a lower perspective or something on the ground. But it's also nice to use it as a rangefinder too. If you're in lower light where maybe the viewfinder is a little bit too dim. So this camera is really well made in the sense that it's very flexible. I had the very first Alpa I ever reviewed was an Alpa 5. No, it was a 7. It was an Alpa 7. And I could not get along with these 45-degree prisms, right?
Yeah,
So
I'm with you. I agree.
the viewfinder is neither waist level, but it's also not eye level. I like to call it chin level. You like have to hold the camera to your chin and look down, and it's just not a very natural feeling experience. This 8B, the prism viewfinder is much brighter than the 7 that I had was. I don't know if that's just due to age or different Alpas had different brightness, but I remember that 7, in addition to having an awkward 45-degree viewfinder, the viewfinder was just so dark. I did not like using it at all. The 8B is brighter, but I just still don't like the angled viewfinder, but it still has the rangefinder, which it just boggles my mind that an SLR can also have a rangefinder that works like you would expect it to. So I do love the Alpa Reflex. I like the quirkiness of it. I like the design of it. To me, this is even though it's probably a slower camera to use than the 6, 7, and 8s are, I do really like the Alpa Reflex. So that would be, in terms of a user, I will use this way more than I'll use the 8B.
Oh, wow.
What was the Heretic, Anthony? Now, this is an example of, I don't know if you call this reverse gas, where you have a lens but not a camera for it.
Right.
I'm sure that's happened to us, right? I have this lens. It's an M42 lens.
Sure.
It's
I know where this is going.
a multi-coated auto Alpa 24 millimeter f2.5. So it is here. I'm gonna unscrew it first so you can see the lens. So it's an Alpa lens, but I needed a screw mount Alpa body. So I know you guys know where I'm going with this. I had to find the wonderful Alpa SI 2000.
Yes. Okay. Is it any good?
No.
Oh.
Well, let me backtrack a little.
It's a Casina.
No, it's a Chinon.
It's a
Chinon CE5.
That's right. It's a Chinon Memotron, a Memotron.
It's the Memotron 2. There are differences though. So I read before I bought this camera, I had read somewhere that said it is literally just a rebadged Chinon Memotron 2. That is not true. There are differences that apply only to the Alpa. They're minor. The first one is that the entire top plate is made of zinc. It's not brass. So it gives it a little bit of extra heft. This camera just feels solid. I have a Memotron. On a scale, I think it's only like 50 grams difference, but just something about the Alpa SI 2000, this camera feels meaty. Plus, when, instead of brassing, you're basically getting like zinc, under there, the kind of gray zinc. It has unique strap lugs. The design of, there's a lot of cosmetic differences too. And I can't remember what the third one was. There were 3 differences. You'll just have to trust me that there's a third difference.
Did it take that weird Chinon motor winder with interval timer and all the flashing red lights? And is there any wiring down there for a motor or
No,
winder? Okay, so that's a difference too. The Chinon would have taken.
There's just the button for rewind. There's the tripod socket and the battery.
No electrical
compartment.
connection.
No.
I am very curious, and maybe this is what you're thinking of, Paul, about the SI 3000, which I believe did take a motor drive.
Okay, so that
and
was
is not. It's Pentax K-mount.
Correct.
Right.
So, and there's a couple of them on eBay right now, and I stare at them and I think, why do I need this? It's a rebadged Chinon. What do I need it for? What do I need it for? But I feel it is exerting this inexorable pull.
Well, you gotta have it. I mean, there's no question.
But yeah, maybe I don't. Maybe
no,
I
no,
don't.
you do. You really need
Maybe
it.
I don't. It's all about, listen, guys, it's all about the 10s and the 11s, which is what Mike just skipped right over.
No,
I don't have
a 10 and 11, Jeff.
No. Come
It's
on.
ugly.
Okay, wait. Come on now. Mike, are you telling me you've never shot or tested an Alpa 10 or 11?
I did have an 11 and I sold it.
It's terrible.
I never.
It's an awful
Yeah.
camera to shoot with.
Heresy. No. What?
You have to
Look
hold
at
it
this.
upside down.
No, you don't. Look at this. Okay.
Yeah, I looked. I mean, it's terrible.
All right. Shall I do my Rhapsody
Yeah.
to the 11SI? Is
Please
it
do.
time? Has it come? Because Paul has
time.
shots
It's time.
fired. Shots have been fired.
No,
Okay.
go for it. I can be convinced. Tell
Okay.
us about the little gold plate
Yes,
at the top of it.
that's right. Okay, that's very important. Very important. Only the export version has the Swiss flag, right?
Right,
Only the
yes.
export version. Okay. Presenting the Alpa 11SI. I bought this at Camerosity in London. I had never seen one in person. I still haven't. This is the only 11SI I've ever seen anywhere. I've seen some 10s. The 11SI was the last of the OG Alpa SLRs. Before they made the bastardized SI series, and before the company was sold to Capal and Weber and started making medium format, this was the last of the original line. 1979. This is the chrome version. They made about 150 of them. Already, are you excited?
That's pretty cool.
Yes, of course you are. Okay.
I'm trembling.
Let's talk about how weird it is. I've already talked about how great the glass is. Phenomenal glass, right? Look at the ungainly way that oversized prism sits on the top plate. It's beautiful and brutalist. All right? Are you excited? Are you excited yet?
Show us how the film advance works.
Right.
I'm so glad you said that, Paul, because you're highlighting two of the things I love most. The film advance. What? Why in the world would you do this?
Annoying. It's so
The
annoying.
release is on the front, kabam, and then that's how you advance it, guys. Bam, and then tweak. The idea, I guess, though I have never found this to be the case in practice, is that you shoot and advance without taking the camera from your eye. That's the thinking.
For the listeners, Jeff's actually shooting with his, I think, middle finger.
Yes.
And then using his
That's right.
index finger to actually pull the lever from the front of the
Front
camera
to back.
around.
Also,
front to back.
look at this beautiful piece of engineering. This is the ASA dial and shutter dial integrated, beautifully engineered. You can work it like this. Wonderful. But it gets better, guys. Look at the best, I am going to say, this is the best rewind crank ever put on a camera. Watch.
Oh, would you look at that? That's it. It is.
That is kind of
I mean,
neat.
that
It
is
is.
so. That is so sexy.
Pull up, and there is a parallelogram linkage. And it gives you a big, wide winder. You're not doing this like you are on a Leica M3 where you're going rah, 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 and tearing up your fingers. You go around and around and around. But wait, there's more on the top plate.
Wait, that's a beautiful Maxim 9000 rewind lever that you have there.
Hey,
It's a
Steve,
fantastic
what are
Minolta.
you doing to me, man? What are you doing to me? All right.
Alpa must have stolen it from Minolta, just traveled in time.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard of the camera you're speaking of. On we go. Look at this. Okay, this little thing here. See that? Okay, this little rectangular cover is actually a cover that is spring-loaded and comes off, and underneath it is the fine adjust for the meter. Okay. But that's not why they made it so easy to take off. The idea was you would take this plate to your jeweler and have them engrave your initials upon it to personalize your Alpa. Huh? Are you excited? There's more.
But wait a minute. How about the different colors of the finish?
I'm getting to that, Paul. My God, you were just throwing me one fat pitch over the plate after another. Before we leave the top plate, please note there's a
Would
little
you look at
window
that?
in there under the accessory shoe. It's not a hot shoe. There's a little window, and in that window are two lights for over and under exposure, which mirror the lights in the viewfinder, so you can see your meter readout right here if you want to.
My Yashica Electro 35 has two lights on the top plate too.
And you're welcome to it.
And they're a lot easier to see.
Yes, okay. I also want to talk about, you mentioned strap lugs. Let me tell you something very important. Have you ever felt you wanted to take the strap lugs off your camera? Alpa lets you. Do you know what a pair of these strap lugs go for on eBay? $250. It's insane. Why would you want to do that? It's so dumb. Why would you do it? This is the original Alpa strap, by the way, which has absolutely no padding or shoulder business. It's about the thickness of a pencil, completely uncomfortable. Why would you do that?
Does it rip the hairs off the back of your neck when it hangs from there?
Yeah, kind of. Okay.
Yeah.
So Jeff, as you're going through this,
Yes.
I just have this image in my head of some Swiss engineers being handed an Exacta Verex VX and saying, "Yeah, I can work with that. Let's see what we can come up with."
Exactly. This is the thing about the Alpa that I love so much. It's a freakish kind of blank piece of paper. We're not going to do it their way. We're going to do it our way. Every choice on this thing is idiosyncratic and occasionally brilliant. Like I said, that rewind crank. Oh my God, it's so great.
I mean, truth be told, is we're having a little bit of fun with you. But if Alpa simply just copied the Nikon F and then tried to charge, and tried to charge the premium prices that they do, nobody would care. I mean, these are the kinds of cameras that I do enjoy writing about, even though the 11 just didn't stay with me long enough to do it. But whenever there is something that's just cool, the Praktica 4 and 5 have a very similar rewind like you do, where it doesn't have the parallelogram though, but it rotates in a similar way. And every time that I would run into a weird feature that just works differently, that's exciting to me.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the motor drive for the Alpa 10 and 11 series? You ever seen a picture of this thing? It is the stupidest machine. It literally wraps all the way around the camera and then has a finger that comes down
Oh, really?
to advance take a look at it. It is absolutely deranged.
It's like a Rube Goldberg motor
Exactly.
drive.
Not like every other motor drive accesses the gearing through the bottom, right? As a matter of fact, the back comes off of this. So you'd think they would have engineered. No, not Alpa. No, not us. Not we Swiss people. They had to do it weird. And so they have a metallic finger that comes down. One finger fires the shutter, and the other goes like this and advances the thing from front to back. It's crazy. When Gabe and I show up at the camera show, and I have this around my neck, people lose their minds because you just don't see them. It's weird looking and attention getting. And if this lens were not a design masterpiece, nobody would care. It would be an Exacta, right? Who cares? This camera takes great pictures. That's it. That's my rant.
But Jeff, knowing your obsession with perfect cameras, I'm trying to work out how you correlate having one with so many scratches on it that you're actually living with.
Theo, I wish you hadn't said that. Okay. Here's the thing. Yes, I am obsessed with cameras being pristine, and the 10S that I got is in pretty close to perfect condition. This one is beat to hell. Not only Alpa paint wore terribly, the only camera that wears worse is the XPan, okay? Not only that, this has engravings on it. It has all over it. And when I did some research, it turns out these engravings signify that this was a student camera at the Center for Media Resources at Hong Kong University. How it made its way, which by the way is defunct, that center, how this made its way to a camera shop in London is anybody's guess.
I'm probably in the minority here, but I don't mind engravings. I love that I find it interesting. It's a sign of the times, I guess, when like today we're so concerned with privacy and, don't share your social security number. People would just engrave their social security number, their home phone number. It was just like, that was just what you did, and they weren't even done by a jeweler. Some dude literally got like a chisel sometimes and would do it by hand.
And that's what this is. I don't know if you can see where it's just someone.
You can see it on the lens on your.
Yeah, it's everywhere. I mean, it says CMR right here. It says HK Univ here.
Yeah.
It says CMR on the lens. I mean, they went to town on this thing, engraving it right here. It says CMR. Imagine how that torments me. Oh, it's right on the protoprism. Ah!
For someone who has OCD about condition, I could see that. But I'll tell you what, though. I promise you, it's the use that camera got that earned those things is why it still works.
I know. And you're absolutely right. And I heard you guys talking about this in a recent episode. You've touched on this every once in a while. Cameras have got to be used. They got to be exercised.
Yeah.
And the Alpas that I've seen that have sit in cold storage, the meter dies. We've seen this so often. This thing got worked. It was used. It was, and it's seen some stuff.
That's the Richard Simmons of cameras versus a mint Jabba the Hutt of cameras.
Yes.
How do you feel about how the back opens on that camera?
It's hateful. I mean, it's got, look at this key. Ugh. And the whole thing, I hate backs that come off.
So you got to stick it under your arm when you're moving around.
It's terrible.
And trying to load film.
I know. Also, the batteries are obscure, not as obscure as the 10S. For some reason, there's a finger here to hold this in. When I bought this was missing. This little finger that holds the take-up spool in place. So I had to source one of those. Why would you want to take the take-up spool out?
Yeah, that's weird.
It doesn't have an accessory back like a Nikon so you can put 250 exposures. Why would you want to do that? There's so many weird choices, but it's so quirky and strange. And as I've said, there's only 150 of them. Yeah. They only made about 150 in chrome and about 300 in black. So when you're walking around with one of these things, you feel like $1 million.
That's an amazing statistic considering that was a student camera in a Hong Kong.
Has anyone walked up to you and asked if you were a student at Hong Kong University?
I know. I'm waiting for that to happen. It's so funny. Why? Why would Hong Kong University choose this?
Yeah.
An exotic, rare Swiss camera. My guess is some teacher wanted to take it home with him when the university folded, and I think that's how it made its way back to London.
If you think about it, though, that camera is rarer than the Ilford Witness we were talking about.
True, it is. As a matter of fact, the 10S that I have, which was supposed to be the budget edition, it doesn't have a self-timer. I think there's one or two other differences between it and the regular Alpa 10, but there's only 97 of them. So yes, it's far rarer than the Ilford Witness. Far rarer. So yeah.
My fellow question is, you can live with that font. I mean, it's a Swiss camera.
Are you talking about?
Shouldn't that be Futura?
Oh no! Look at the serifs, man.
Oh man!
Oh God, no! It's beautiful. Come on, no, the Alpa. Listen, I care a lot about logos, as anyone who has listened to our show knows. Look at the lovely sans serif font of 11SI. Oh, breathtaking.
That's a nice logo. The original Alpa logo was nice too.
I love that logo.
Pretty nice. Very nice typography.
I will say the SI 2000 Alpa logo looks god awful.
It's god awful. And why did they fill in the final A in Alpa like that? It's so weird.
ALP is hollow and the final A is just bold.
Is it supposed to? I don't know. It's supposed to accent. This is a camera from the Alps.
Maybe you have to say Alpa.
Alpa. I wish I had more to tell you guys about this, but I feel that I've ranted enough. They're amazing. If you ever see one, get it. I mean, I got both of the ones that I bought. I also, by the way, I guess I should mention, as long as we're being completists, my third Alpa is an Alpa Surgical 81. Are you familiar with this camera, Mike Ekman?
I do not have a review of that on MikeEkman.com.
The Alpa Surgical 81 is a medical variant of the Alpa 10. It has a waist level finder. It has one shutter speed, 1/60th of a second. It's
kind of like the Yashica Dental Eye, the ophthalmology camera.
Yes, but it is like that.
For different purposes, though.
It has a big, big sign on the back that says, "Do not sterilize camera." How can you not love it?
My favorite medical camera is a Soviet camera called the KMZ Surprise.
Oh,
It's called the Surprise, and it was a proctology camera.
I got
oh,
one of those
Oh.
in the case.
Yeah, it's meant for going up, where, and I just
Yeah.
think I could just picture this like Vladimir, Russian doctor going surprise.
wow.
So, Paul, from a retailer's point of view, do you deal much in Alpa, or is it one of those cameras where there has to be a Jeff out there? For every Alpa, there has to be a Jeff.
Okay, here's the story, Anthony. This is funny. I live in the middle of a cornfields in southwestern Ohio. Okay, nothing around it. Dayton, Ohio, Springfield, Ohio, and my little town of Yellow Springs. In Springfield, Ohio, there was a camera store called Springfield Camera. Springfield was a very wealthy town in the printing industry. McCall's magazine was printed there. There was a Springfield Metal. There was all kinds of industry. International Harvester was in Springfield. Big deal. So there was a lot of money in Springfield, Ohio. This little camera store, Springfield Camera, was a dealer for Leica and Alpa.
Hmm.
So consequently, and the guy that owned the store was a great guy. Everybody loved him, and they did whatever he told them to do, they would do. So there were a lot of Alpa cameras sold in this area. Over the years, I mean, it's been now 25 years since that store went away, but the cameras are still surfacing.
Wow.
You
How
know,
about that?
you go to an estate sale or something, and there'll be an Alpa, or there'll
Yeah.
be some Leica that you don't expect to see.
Yeah. Well, this is the other thing, Paul, that you were mentioning is many of these cameras were custom.
Mhm.
The same way that like during the time when Leica was doing all those custom Hermes editions, you could order it with some sort of special leatherette. Leicas were often made to order for scientific applications, for journalists, for collectors, whatever. So you could specify, I want a black camera with red leatherette. And there are many, there's green leatherette,
Ira has
blue.
a blue one. Yeah. I was
Oh,
gonna
the
say-
blue. Ira has the most extraordinary collection of Alpas I've ever seen. I
Have you
tried
seen
to
it
get
in
him to
person?
appear. No, I haven't, but I begged him to come on our Smash Hit podcast, and he declined because he says he doesn't like to talk.
He's already come on the best
Doesn't
one
like to
anyway.
talk.
Well,
So.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I don't know why would I.
We have him on the payroll.
I'm taking it personally. But anyway, lots of these were made to order in many exotic finishes. You could get it in black, like hammer. You get it in silver hammer tone, black matte, black shiny, black, crinkle. You could choose what finish you wanted. There were gold editions, which are not that uncommon, weirdly enough. So it was kind of, again, trying to compete in that Leica space where things were, custom, high-end, and collectible. A lot of people think that these are trash from an engineering standpoint. Whenever I mention Alpas on Facebook groups, there's always one guy who wants to attack me and talk about how poorly made they are and how the gears
I've
are
heard
made
that
of,
too.
and all right, I don't care. I love shooting with this thing.
We've started on this list of things from John Kelly, but I
Oh,
want
yes.
real quick. One of them was typical podcast field trip. And for I Dream of Cameras, it was the Paris Fashion Week. So apparently they're thinking that you guys are like going down the runway,
Jeff is certainly.
Jeff is he?
I did actually attend a runway show for Fashion Week several months ago. There is a very funny shot of the First Lady of France walking by me. I'm wearing like a LL Bean shirt and jeans. She's totally tricked out. And I'm this dopey guy with my XPan taking pictures of the runway. I mean, it was a star-studded event. I don't know quite how I blundered in there, but yes, we have been to both New York and Paris Fashion Week. And what is it that Camerosity might go to, Mike?
I think he got the city wrong. He said Cleveland Photo Fest, but he probably meant to say Cincinnati.
Yes.
Because I wanted it real quick. That was a segue. That's why I brought it up. But we talked for several episodes in a row about the Cleveland show back in March 22nd. I went there. Paul had a table. Anthony mentioned it a little earlier about the Pentax Qs. But it was really cool to actually get 3 out of 4 of us together in one location. And, Paul and Anthony, it was the first time you guys ever met, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it was good to see you. I mean, Anthony, you had your surgery coming up, so it was kind of a last hurrah to get up there. And you walked home with a nice Minex 35 Golf, right?
Yep, it's a GT Golf, the The Safari Green Minox 35 GT.
Wow.
And then I traded with Paul the Evangelion for the D4. Paul, you commented this was one of the best attended shows I've been to ever in my life. I mean, the response to that show was phenomenal, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was the highest. There were 350 civilians,
Yeah,
which is a lot for, it was a 6 hour show. No, 5 hour show.
5 hour show.
Yeah. So that was a lot of people, and it actually was in too small a space.
Yeah.
So people couldn't walk down an aisle because there were people standing in
Mhm.
front of the, but it was nothing compared to the Sydney show that Theo was at, where it
Yeah.
looked like there were thousands of people.
There was thousands of people that turned up. They were all mostly young people as well. We joked about the digicams table before. I did not have the bravery to actually try and attempt to go to that table because there were so many young ladies crowding and buying cameras and actually doing selfies as they're buying the little digicams. It was like having a sale at one of those fake jewelry stores where you have all the teenage girls converging, and it was just amazing. But overall, the show itself, I think they said it was close to 2,000 people over a period of
Wow.
about 6 hours had actually come in. And it's the same thing, it was too small a space. And usually that space is more than enough. And they do that 3 times a year. So I'll be interested to see if it continues through the year now, because it was just really great to see so many young people actually coming into it rather than just old guys like us sort of talking about the good old days.
At those shows, are there a lot of like specialized dealers where it's like a camera store is selling stuff that the store sells, or
There is.
is it a lot of guys like Paul that are just selling stuff that they have?
It's both. It's both.
Oh, okay.
There's what a couple of that are well known that sell stuff all the time, as in individuals. But there's also some stores which have actually got actual physical stores that come there as well. They sell things, cameras, varying degrees of quality. I've had my run-ins with one of them before, but it is actual stores, and then there's the people that somehow just have a table of random stuff as well. So it's very interesting because you can actually pick up on a lot of different little things that you wouldn't expect to find there as well.
I'm gonna have to wind it up soon for myself. I'm 2.5 weeks out from a double bypass valve replacement heart surgery, and I'm
Yeah.
probably still. But I did want to ask Jeff one final question, and that's as I was in recovery in the cardiac ICU, and I was like, I need to make some sort of gesture that I'm going to sort of pamper myself going forward. That at some point I'll be able to pick up a camera again, but it needed to be light.
Yes.
So I ended up going online, and it's something I'd heard about for years. People have told me about. I picked up the Fuji GS645W Pro, and I'm just curious, which of the 645s did you pick up? Did you pick up the one that's like all automated with the lens that retracts?
Yeah, I have the GA645 Professional, and these Fuji these Fuji G series cameras fascinate me now. I think there's such a rainbow of amazing machines, and because I hadn't done a lot of business in medium format, I hadn't paid a lot of attention to it. But the one you got, I think, did you post a picture of it? I'm trying to remember.
I think I did, yes.
Or maybe,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my God, that looks cool. That's going to be so fun to shoot with.
I know. I've loaded it up. I'm looking at it. My cardiac surgeon's like, you can't pick up anything more than 3 pounds. It has to stay inside your tube.
Yeah.
You have to have like Tyrannosaurus Rex arms. So I'm pining for the day when I get to shoot this thing, because even just like looking, because it's got the wide angle lens, and it's
Yeah.
645. I love looking through that viewfinder. It's a
That's
cool,
great.
cool, interesting little camera.
Does that one have, when you focus, the frame lines turn red? Is that how that one
No,
works?
well, mine's basically a rangefinder. It's not even
It's an H-finder.
it's
Okay.
it's not a viewfinder. It's like a
Jeff,
it's sort of like a Rolly 35.
the
The
GA turns red,
GA
right?
is autofocus.
Yes, exactly.
right.
That's right. It's got a little rectangle that
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
zeroes in on the subject. It's really cool.
Is yours DX coded?
The GA is. It is.
The GAZ, I think the 640Z,
Yeah, the
they
one
made a Zoom version of it.
that's the Zoom version, which I don't have. But apparently it can read the codes off certain Fuji
Right.
films.
Only Fuji, it wasn't Kodak.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my wife had one of those for a number of years, and it worked great. I mean,
It's nice. I mean, again, just circling back, it's another one of those electronic cameras that's just going to absolutely drop dead on me one day. But I got a very nice deal on it at a flea market, actually a few blocks from here in New York City, and it's just a total kick to shoot with. I mean, it's a point and shoot, medium format, half a cookie. And it's just really, really fun to play with. I took it to Iceland, and I got some very nice shots with it in Iceland. It held up great in the cold weather. It was totally fun.
I've got the S version, which isn't quite as wide as the one Anthony got because he got the W. So the G645S. And I took it to Thailand with me. And, I was working in 37-degree temperatures. It performed perfectly. The metering on it is just phenomenal. So, and as Anthony said, they're basically a rangefinder, the non-GA ones. And they're so light and so easy to use. They're just a pleasure to use because you don't have to really invest a lot of time in trying to remember how to do things. It's just so natural.
And I was also taken aback by how much it feels like the G617, from the winding knob to the grips, to the way it handles, the balance on it. There's a lot of DNA that was shared across those like weird 1990s Fuji cameras. They're kind of fascinating me as well.
And I can confirm, Jeff, the non-zoom, the GA645WI, it does support that barcode system.
Yeah.
They didn't call it DX, but it's the same concept. And Paul's right, only Fuji supported it.
Yeah. Super easy to load. That's the fun thing too.
Yeah.
It's auto load.
Yeah, that command dial turns into a dial that makes the spool spin. It's very ingenious.
220, so you can shoot all day long with a roll of 220. And for me, what really excited me is that it takes the same filters as my Zuiko lenses.
Oh, nice.
So I've got all of my black and white filters, so I can shoot infrared with that camera.
Anthony, the first time you put in a 220 roll on that camera and you realize you're getting 32 exposures out of a single medium format roll, your brain's not going to be able to cope with it. You're going to feel like that roll of film is going to last you forever.
Yeah.
Actually, out of interest, Anthony, does yours go up to 16 or 15? Yeah. Because the one I've got only goes up to 15.
It's 15.
Mine does 16.
Does it really?
Yeah.
You apparently the later GA, the one you're talking about, gets one more shot per roll, apparently.
Wow. Okay. Because I only go up to 15 on mine. Yeah.
Well, even if it's 30 or 32, though, what I'm trying to say is you're so conditioned to getting maybe a dozen shots on a roll film, but when you're in the 30s, it's just going to blow your mind. When is this roll going to be done?
Anthony's used to getting 4 shots on the 617.
That's right.
A little hint for people too is the 645s. I'm not sure about the GA, but definitely the GSs. They use the same viewfinder thread as the Nikon FM2s and so on, so you can get them replaced really because a lot of them are missing it. And especially if you're wearing glasses, you'll end up scratching your glasses if you don't get it. And the same ones as the Nikon, so you can actually get replacements for them.
2925.
Pentax 6x7, same round as well.
Same pitch and same diameter.
Yeah, same diameter, so you can get an eye cup or just the rubber ring or whatever.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, Anthony, I'm glad you're able to make it as long as you were.
Yeah, me too.
We're excited to see you back up and running.
This is the first social interaction I've had since surgery with anybody other than doctors, nurses, and my wife. So it's been wonderful.
I don't know if it's just the birds behind you or the robe, but you really look like a Jedi Master. And I think you should I really think you should keep this look going because it really suits you.
And then after the show, Anthony and I went out to this Irish pub called something Dingle or whatever. And him and I just had a nice conversation there too. So that was fun to see you in person. Have some Irish food. I had some fish and chips, which was really good. But then just real quick, to go back to the show, there were a lot of people who, talked to us. Maxwell Whitaker was there. Rick Olison showed up, got to see him. Greg Metzcar always does a booth there. There were a few other people. I really apologize. I meant to write people's names down so that I could give them a shout out, but there were quite a few people who are fans of the show, and they thought it was
Oh, we
super
saw
cool to
Ray,
see.
we saw Igor, and
Yeah, Ray, all those guys that are, the regulars there. But we had a really incredible response. And it just, if you're listening and you saw us at the show, this is the first time we've had a chance to talk about it. It was, in fact, I had this idea. I had my laptop with me and my microphone. Well, the original plan was I was going to set it up on Paul and I's table, and we would have people come by and, like, if they had a question to ask us or just say hello. And maybe we thought we were going to try and record some samples into an upcoming episode. But from the moment the doors opened, that show was so busy, there was no room to physically set up a laptop or time to do anything with it. So maybe one day we'll try to do a live Camerosity show or something.
We need a show like that out here.
You don't have anything then at all?
There's one small LA show which has just started coming back with maybe about 10 of the vendors from the big Pasadena show, but
yeah,
it's nowhere near.
It's weird how just certain markets, like Ray always talks about the Boston show is really good. I mean, 2000 at Sydney is fantastic, but you go different big cities in the United States, just because it's a big city doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a huge response. Now, Paul, does the Cleveland show usually less than the Cincinnati show, or is it usually about the same?
No, it's usually a little less.
A little less,
The
yeah.
Cincinnati show will draw people from Indianapolis and Lexington, but Cleveland doesn't get.
I think Saturday is just a better day for a show than Sunday anyway. I think some people are less likely to want to travel to go to something like that on a Sunday, whereas they might be more likely on a Saturday. Well, before we start to wind down, Anthony's looks like he already did drop. Does anybody have any recent pickups or anything cool that they want to share? Steven, you haven't talked as much as we have. Anything new for you?
I recently picked up a Pentax Auto 110 with the 24 millimeter, the absolute smallest SLR lens, I think interchangeable SLR lens that you could get. And I have no intention of shooting with it. I could adapt it, but it's hard to get adapters that have a proper aperture mechanism, and I don't want to kind of use it improperly. I would want to just give it its real due. And you can get 110 film these days. I doubt I'll actually do that. So really, I bought a camera just because I wanted to hold on to it and marvel at how ridiculously small it is and how ridiculously tiny that lens is. So that was a fun little thing that I picked up and just couldn't resist. But also, I think Jeff kind of convinced me. Having him talk about that Alpa, I really got some gas from that, and I kind of want to go out and pick up a Maxim 9000 now. I think that rewind crank and an autofocus SLR with manual winding and rewinding with a really special, unique rewind mechanism that no other camera manufacturer has ever done ever before. I think that would be a real special thing to add to the collection.
That's so good.
I have a recent purchase which we can classify as my stupidest purchase in the world. At the camera show in Sydney, I came across a Pentax spot meter, thinking fantastic. It was a fantastic price. Absolutely stoked to manage to get it for a great price. I didn't pay enough attention. If you look closely enough at it, I'm not sure if that's focusing there. Scale. Yes, foot Lamberts. So considering we've got two film, motion picture film people on board today.
Is it foot candles only, or does it read?
It's foot Lambert. It's not even candles.
Okay. Well, you can convert it. It can be converted. You can buy a new scale.
What's a foot
Can you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Zone 6 or somebody made them. They're out there. So just got a new dial.
Oh, okay. I'll look into that because I was so disappointed when I got home. I started looking at this thinking, I've got absolutely no idea what this means.
I had one of those. I was at one point, one of the things I had to do was read the light levels in jails. It was OSHA requires that certain parts of each jail have a certain amount of brightness. The sleeping area would be one requirement, a food area would be another. So I had to use a foot candle meter just like that one, and I would change the scale. So you can buy replacement scales for them.
Paul, what's that Minolta spot meter you love? You gave one to me once. It's a handheld Minolta spot meter. Oh,
geez. The spot meter, the one that has a solenoid on it. It looked like a tricorder from Star Trek. And when you push the button, the dial would turn.
Right. Mm-hmm.
There's a solenoid.
It's like a circular viewfinder.
Kurt had like 5 of those things.
Yeah. You gave one back to me, and it works
Yeah.
fine. I just haven't had a reason to use it, but that's
Yeah,
really
I
neat.
kept one of them, and Rolf Tessem got one, and yeah, no, those were a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, hopefully you can find that conversion chart, Theo, for Foot Lamberts into something more useful
Yes,
for you.
I hope so.
And that's it. Anything else or nothing new? You've been busy though.
Yeah, I've been busy. I only picked up a couple of things at that show. I got a Kodak monitor, which I'm quite eagerly a 616 one. So I'm pretty keen to put 120 film in that and get panoramic medium format out of
I'll
it.
tell you a thing about those is that's from the era where the Kodak bellows just rot away. If you can open it and you hear creaking of any kind, like crunch, like potato chips crunching, stop
No
closing it.
creaking. No creaking. Look at this.
Well, here's the thing though, is that those bellows will develop light leaks each time you open and close it. So
Yeah.
once you have film in there, assuming it's still light tight, resist the urge to keep closing it. Just leave it open throughout the duration of your roll.
Yeah.
Because as you use it, it will start to develop light leaks.
But look at this top plate, mate.
They're beautiful, yeah.
A beautiful top plate. And it's got this scale for distance on the back here on the viewfinder too.
Well, Gabe has talked about his 21 new cameras he's reacquainted himself with. Jeff, do you have anything new? Any recent gas?
I bought a Cluster because you reviewed it, and I love Italian cameras, so I bought one of those. Unfortunately, I left it in LA, so I haven't been able to play with it very much. I'm eyeing, Gabe and I think, are both eyeing a Pentax MX. Kind of
There you
want to
go.
get one of those. I have an ME Super, which I really, really love, and of course, I have the MF. Have we ever talked about that?
The
You know,
MEF.
No, the
Yeah.
MF.
MF, no.
The MF is, talk about a medical camera. I won't go into detail on this because we've talked about it on our show, but the MF was the medical variant of the ME
Wow.
Super. It's half frame. It looks just like an ME Super, except it's a half frame K-mount compact SLR. And I found out how to do a basic conversion so you could take the aerial viewfinder and change it for ground glass so you can actually shoot with this thing. One of our listeners, I believe his name is Andy Gray, took it a step further. And if you follow the link, I think it's in our either most recent or 2 episodes ago, he did a full mod on a Pentax MF to turn it into a fully functional half-frame Pentax
Wow.
ME. It's phenomenal. So I love that thing. But anyway, so I've kind of been eyeing a Pentax MF. And the other thing is, what else is on the watch list? Well, no longer going to get that SI 2000 that I was eyeing. There is a Nikkor F on eBay.
That's the German
Yes,
camera, right?
Yes. So I'm looking at that.
So it's a Nikon F. They just couldn't use the name Nikon.
Right. It's badged Nikkor, which I've always kind of wanted. But the thing is, I'm in New York City right now. So most of my camera collection is in the West. So I'm far away from the things I want to be shooting with the most. I only have 4 or 5 cameras here.
Definitely get that MX. Those are really nice.
Yeah, they're not expensive. I was eyeing a
No.
Zeiss 10X too. Thanks. Again, that's you guys preying on me. Because the 10X 2, of course, is that square frame, which I
Yes.
love.
Yes.
But then one of our listeners gave us a Taxona. So I think I'm going to try shooting with that for a while. I also bought a Mamiya Sketch on your recommendation.
Yes, that's another good one too.
That's
Another
the
square
thing.
format.
Mike, you should be getting a kickback from me
Oh.
for the number of times I've bought something based on a MikeEckman.com review.
I'll save you some money, and if you go completely crazy with square format 35 millimeter, one camera I would recommend you avoid, at least if you intend on shooting it, is the Mechaflex.
Oh,
It's made by, it's a kill fit camera. It's got a weird folding top plate with a waist level finder under it. It is difficult to use. The
Oh, okay.
viewfinder is really hard to see through. I did not get along with that camera at all. In fact, I don't even know if I'll review it because I hated it so much.
I came very close to buying one of those.
The
Mhm.
Rayflex, those
Yeah.
are nice. And you have John Wade's book too.
Yes, well, this is what I do, guys, is if I begin salivating over the camera and don't buy it, I buy the book instead.
I want to try and get John Wade on the show. He's a really cool guy. I've
Yeah,
spoken
that
to
would
him
be
multiple
great.
times.
He would be great to have on the show because it seems like he's such an expert in that particular
Yeah.
camera.
John Wade knows a lot. He wrote a
But Gabe
clockwork.
Gabe is in more of an acquisition mode than I am right now.
Mike, what's the sharp 35 you think for that MX?
The sharpest lens?
Yeah, sharpest 35 millimeter lens. Yeah, the focal length I'm looking for.
It's K-mount, so I mean, you have so many options. I have the 51 too, which is really, really sharp, but it's pretty expensive. I'm really going to let you down, but the 52. So the 51 2 is super expensive. It's just the basic 52 lens. It's very comparable in my mind to like the Nikkor 50 f2. It's a no frills basic lens. It doesn't have a lot of value, but I mean, you can mount that thing to a digital camera and you're going to get incredible resolution for it. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a sharp K-mount lens. Beyond that, though, the 40 f2.8 is really popular. Jeff and I love 40 millimeter lenses. That's a good one to look for too.
There's also the Voigtlander Ultron 2 40 millimeter f2, which is quite a nice sharp lens. That's
beautiful.
It's a Cosina lens, but it's a fantastic one, and they made it in K-mount and OM and a bunch of other mounts.
Vivitar Series 1 3519.
Oh, wow.
It defeats the whole purpose of the small camera because it weighs a ton, but that was an awfully good lens too.
Oh, that's great to know.
Paul, any pickups for you? For your collection, I should say.
No, man, I'm in packing mode right now. We're going to be in Ireland for 5 weeks shooting, and so I've jettisoned my camera case right now is about 35 pounds.
Oh my gosh!
So I just picked up a 28-28 Elmerit M version 2 that I'm going to take. So now I've got 12, 25, 12, 15, 21, 28, 35, 50, 58. And 85 millimeter lenses in the kit, but it's wearing on me, so I may jettison a couple more before I'm done.
So other than the D4 from you, Paul, my two would be, I had been wanting a Minolta 35, the original like a thread mount rangefinder for quite some time. I had done a review several years ago on a broken one, and I had always kind of just wanted to find one that was in good usable shape. I think those cameras are generally well built. Whatever material Minolta used for the curtains on those seems to universally corrode, because if you go on Buyee or Yahoo auctions or even eBay and look at the Japanese sellers selling the rangefinder Minoltas, the curtains are almost always just rotted out, like at a much higher rate than probably any other camera, with one exception. The very final model on the Minolta 35 series is called the 2B, was the last model. It came out in 1958 only, the same year they released the SR2. I don't have proof of this, but it stands to reason that it's probably the same curtains, possibly even the same shutter as Minolta's SLRs, but in a rangefinder, still like a thread mount camera. But with that one model, the 2B, they released a Super Rokkor 50 millimeter 1.8, like a thread mount lens. Our friends at Pacific Rim Camera had one for an incredible price, so I picked one of those up a while back. And then the last one is sort of a chance encounter with Phil Sterrett, who we've had on the show before, who's a big Argus historian. He had an Argus C, the original model with the fast slow switch, the little switch in the bottom corner. Those are incredibly rare, but I was actually surprised to learn that they probably made somewhere around 1,800 of those, but apparently most of them were destroyed or sent back to the factory. So while there was a decent amount of them made, very, very few of them have survived. So to find an Argus C with the fast slow switch is not easy to do. So I was really happy to have one of those, which allows me to be able to say that I have every major variant of the Argus C series now. And it works too. He told me it was inoperable. I had no intention of restoring it, but I can't resist to sprinkle naphtha oil on stuff. So I took the lens off. If you ever taken a lens off of an Argus C, C2, C3, you can actually see the pins that the shutter blades pivot on. I just dropped a couple drops of naphtha oil on all the pins. You could see it straight through the lens mount and just kept firing the shutter over and over again. And then eventually it worked. And I put it on a shelf, tried it a couple of days later, it kept working. So I don't know that I'm ever going to put any film through it, but the fact that it works and it's that very, very first Argus C, I was pretty happy to have. Plus, it's kind of neat having the provenance of who had it before me. I think we should wind down.
All right, guys.
Yeah, Paul, Theo's got to go. I think we're all getting tired. Jeff, Gabe, thank you for coming on the show. Like I said, episode 6 is the last time you guys were on.
Crazy.
We should probably do something. Maybe we got to come on your show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except we've concluded, based on your experimentation as an open source podcast, that people really just want to hear us.
I wonder why that is. Well, I think really what you mean is we just really want to hear us.
Yeah, maybe that's what I've concluded. No. Absolutely. It's the epic crossover. It's the epic crossover everyone wants. It'll happen. We just got to all get in a room together. This Zoom thing is crazy. Plus, I am going to Europe for like 6 weeks very soon. So luring me back to this country to record another episode may be tricky. I don't know how we're going to do it.
So is I Dream of Cameras going to be stagnant at episode 89 forever?
We found a way. Last time I did a 5-week trip to Portugal and Italy, and we managed to keep up our episode schedule, even though I was hammered on an inexpensive white wine in Rome for one of our memorable episodes. I think the episode is called Ubriaco a Roma. And it is me drunk, if you want to hear what that sounds like. But no, we're going to try and keep it up. I keep telling Gabe that after 100, we're going to quit, but he won't let me.
Not going to happen.
Well, we're coming up on 100 too. If we keep our cadence, we'll hit 100 probably in October. We tend to have these unexpected breaks, so who knows when that will actually happen. But there's a very good chance we'll hit 100 before the end of the year. You guys probably could too. So we're going to have some milestone episodes coming up soon for both shows.
Perfect.
All right.
Well, we are so delighted that you had us on, especially after we declared open war on you. But I guess our unconditional surrender made it possible for you to reach out a hand of friendship, an olive branch, as it were, podcast to podcast.
Armistice.
An armistice. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. But no, you guys are great. I'd never miss an episode. We talk you up on our show, and I'm sure you will do the same for us.
We will. Just stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Theo and Anthony listen to, I think, every episode.
Thanks, Mike.
No, they really do. They really do. Because Theo will let us know every time we're mentioned. So it's always exciting.
Always in the most complimentary fashion.
Fantastic.
All right. You guys have a great night.
Take us home, Mike.
As always, the topics and discussion on the Camerosity podcast are influenced, dictated, and demanded by you. Please don't think you need to have the level of knowledge that any of us have. We love talking to beginners, first-time shooters. The more questions you ask, the less we will talk. I don't think that's true. But we do love having people who've been on the show who've never listened before. The most common question we've been getting lately is, how do I find out where new episodes or when they're going to be recorded? And it's the same answer. It's on the Camerosity Facebook page. It's on the Camerosity Discord server. And I also post things on my website whenever we have the show announcements. It's usually out there 3 to 4 days before we record. If you haven't followed us on any of those sites, I recommend the Discord server. I think that's my favorite way to interact with people. I like it way better than Facebook. So check us out. Follow us. Follow I Dream of Cameras. We'll make sure to have a link in the show notes for this episode. Thank you guys for coming, and everybody have a great rest of your week.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
All right, bye.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Hey, Anthony, you don't look too bad. I mean, it's not horrible. Look at he's Anthony. Anthony has shingles.
I know, but look how great he looks. He's talking to us from the bottom of
Alive!
Only half of Anthony has shingles. The other half of him's healthy.
Isn't that just the weirdest thing?
Which side of you is the evil side and which is the good side?
Yeah.
I feel like Harvey Dent.